Welcome to the Bates Motel AfterBuzz After Show Inseparable, Episode 7. I have a murder to report. Let's go.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Mama just killed a man. Well,
stabbed him multiple times
in the shower.
Kept on stabbing, now he's dead.
Yes. Welcome to the Bates Motel AfterBuzz After Show. I'm Joe Braswell. I'm joined, as always, by the lovely Julia Cearley.
Hello, I'm happy to be back in studio. I missed you guys the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and also the lovely Du'a Kaissi.
Hi, welcome.
And we're not joined on the phone or in person by Joe Sanfilippo. He's off doing some stuff with his family, and it's fine. But
it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. He's not here. It's fine.
Holding back the tears.
But we do have the three of us.
Yes.
To talk about a Cracker Jack episode.
Cracker Jack.
Every episode's a Cracker Jack
I know.
episode of this wonderful show, The Bates Motel. Yeah, man, good stuff going on. I should say, bit of housekeeping up top. Written by Freddie Highmore this episode.
The whole episode?
No, just half. Yes, the whole episode. Yeah. Freddie Highmore wrote the entire thing.
That's
Teleplay
great.
by Freddie Highmore. Story by Freddie Highmore.
That's great.
He actually sat down, put quill to what do you call it? Paper back
Paper?
then.
Yeah.
Quill to parchment. Scribbled out the episode. That's what I'm trying to say.
By
Thank you.
candlelight.
By candlelight.
Of course.
That's all Brits do when they write stuff. No, yeah, written by Freddie Highmore. It's
awesome.
It's very cool. So we have some directed by.
No wonder he had such a big role in this episode.
I mean,
You know what? I don't think I have enough camera time. I'm going to write the next episode, and I'm going to write it for Norman.
but he's already started the show. All right. Anyway,
It's irony.
great episode. A lot of cool reveals. I mean, it sucks that we're getting down to the nitty gritty here.
I'm getting so sad.
We've only got like 2 episodes left in this joint.
3.
3.
But we
This
know
is
that
number
you're,
7,
you're
right?
not very good at small
9,
math.
10. You're
No,
right.
you
I'm not very
can't. We
good.
just established you
Established.
cannot count in groups of threes.
Groups of threes, I'm a rap. I don't know. From New York Times to LA Times, who knows? A goddamn mystery to me. Anyway, so it's 3 more episodes because 10 counts as an episode.
Yes.
All right. What the hell are we gonna do about the show? First of all,
Oh, I'm gonna cry myself to sleep. When
second
it's
of all,
over.
it's all going down. There's no more time for any kind of bullshit. Like
Yeah.
it's all going down these last 3 episodes. We've got bodies are coming out of the lake. We got Dr. Edwards is missing.
Oh,
For like 5 episodes,
that
I'm like,
was such a
where the hell is?
shocker.
I'm like, where the hell is Dr. Edwards? Where is Dr. Edwards? And then, what a great twist.
Yeah, it was great. But he popped up in one episode, so we just thought that he was MIA that whole time.
Yeah.
But it turns out that, we'll talk about that
You
later.
know,
That
you know what else pops up in episodes? Juno.
Yeah.
So, but what did you think? What are your initial thoughts on this episode in general? Yeah.
Well, talk about your tortured soul. Norman Bates brought it to a whole nother level this episode. I thought it was really, really good. But I think this episode was the final setup for what is just going to be just the last 3 episodes of just hasher, slasher, like throwing it out all on the table.
Hasher, slasher.
Hasher. My throat, I want to excuse, my voice is a little
It's all right.
scratchy but this also opened a can of worms for me, because now that we know that Dr. Edwards, for example, has been presumed dead for nearly a year now, but we saw him in an episode. Now that poses questions of me going back and thinking, well, was Chick really real? Or was Chick just a figment? We'll talk about that. But now we have a lot more. Like, they're really, with the way that they unfolded the whole Marion storyline, not the way that we thought, I totally feel like I have no control. I'm in the dark. So I don't know what to expect.
Wow, that's good news for Kerry Ehrin and Carlton Cuse. What usually?
Oh my God, this episode! I was like jumping up and down when they did that reveal about Edwards. I was just like over the moon. I really didn't think that they could surprise me.
Yeah.
And they really, really shocked me. But you were right, it did open a new can of worms, because we're realizing that there's new levels of psychosis that Norman is experiencing and new ways of coping. We thought he coped with tragedy by turning into Mother, but now he's manifesting Dr. Edwards and who knows what else as a term of, as means of, as a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
So, like, we could go anywhere from here, and it's going to be amazing.
It also asks the question, like, what was he doing that past year? right? Like, how many people did he kill that year that, you know,
Could've been busy,
Dilemma
who
was
knows?
having a
No
baby?
idea.
Like, there could be, like, who else is in that lake? Like,
Well,
who did we...
or the well.
Yeah, or the cliff.
Yeah.
Or the... I mean, they got a ton of places.
I mean, Norma had options. Norma was like, the cliff, the well, no more swamp. What do we do?
Mother, how many people have we killed? There's a lot at stake here, Norman.
Just do what I tell you. I love this episode's great. Again, Freddie Highmore's really doing it, like with his reactions and his sort of like, you know, you see his anguish and his, you know, trying to wrap his brain around this thing for himself at the table there. Stop confusing me. You know, stop confusing me, Dylan. Like he's telling what should be a normal story. Hey, they came in, they had some sex, they drove off. That's it.
I didn't see him again.
But no, he told it like this Norman shifty, teary-eyed way.
He's mastered
so
the nervous conversation. Like, he makes me nervous.
He makes me nervous. He's so
Like,
shifty and teary-eyed.
With Sheriff Greene, he did the same thing. He was like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But those moments he takes, those minuscule moments that he takes when someone asks him a question, and you could just almost hear it turning in his head, and there's a moment of silence, and then he answers. Like, those moments of silence, I'm just like on the edge of my seat. I don't know what's going to come out of his mouth or how he's going to react to this.
He's killing it. And so, and furthermore, I mean, I think that for obvious reasons, Freddie Highmore is a spectacular actor and did a great job here. But the MVP of this episode to me is Dylan. Max Terriot.
Not Thoreau, as we've been
Max
calling him.
Terriot. I mean, Julia, you're an actress, but like his reactions, the entire episode is literally us watching him react, you know, to everything, and everything from, you know, him, you know, going upstairs and crying to how he's dealing with his brother, like it's all his face, but his reaction to Dr. Edwards has been missing, and then his reaction to you know, Madeline Loomis, my husband's missing, and then I'm talking to Norman, and then seeing Norma on the floor, like priceless. What the F reactions.
One of like the most important things of the most important tool a real good actor employs is the art of listening.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to lose that as an actor. But he is so masterful at his listening and his very subtle reactions and his sort of taking in of all the information. I think he really knocked it out of the park in this episode.
Fantastic in this episode.
Yeah,
God.
because Lord knows he got a lot of information coming out of
So
this
much
episode.
information. His face was like, what?
Well, in all of his other episodes this whole season, I'm just glad that we got to see a lot of Dylan, because it was all just like really fluffy, happy home, and this is now him in, you know, back at Sodom and Gomorrah, in seeing it face to face, and so he really could get he had the opportunity to kind of play those, you know, really, really rich levels.
Let's talk about it. So last we saw Norman. He was very busy and in the shower with Sam Loomis doing that business. And the episode opens just like, again, another very specific shot-for-shot homage of Psycho with the eyeball, with this which Hitchcock scene of the eye and the twisting eye turning out. It's a very classic shot. They open with that. And then they subverted that very like poignant, scary then in Psycho, and was scary in the remake, and also scary now, just the dead eye. They subverted that by having Norma come in and stomp all over the place and come on, let's get killed. You know, it was almost comedic. It was really good. So flipping of our expectations here from the original Psycho. Also, very comedic first act of Norma. Norma's like cracking jokes the whole time. I feel like she was played very much for humor, and I liked it. She reminded me of like a 1930s, you know, comic actress. I feel like I was watching Bringing Up Baby or something. She was very, you know.
Mother now has a different sense of freedom. Mother
Right.
has, like, her mother as a character, as a person within Norman Bates, has more freedom because she's not playing the role of Norma anymore. Now she is her own person in her own way.
It's quite interesting. We beat this in the ground, but it's really quite interesting to think about how Vera is playing Mother Norma as projected by Norman, right? So her and playing Norma as a real person, real character. Obviously, you feel the depth, you feel the layers. You look back some of the old episodes of Norma, you're like, it's a multi-layered character there. This Norma appears to be kind of one-note-ish, but still not comedic and not over the top. Like, you believe her, but she's still kind of one thing. It's as a projection of Norman's mind. It's a really interesting juxtaposition as a three-dimensional character versus this one-dimensional character that could, in the hands of a lesser actress, just be reduced to a caricature. But like, because because of Vera Farmiga, like she's still a fully realized person as Norma rejects her. I think that's fantastic. I don't know. That's my commentary.
Well, and I mean, I love, first of all, I think that we needed the comedic. Like, this is a really dark time for Norman, right? Like, what he's learned last episode is huge. The fact that he even killed his first person, like, this is a really scary time for him. So having that comedy, that lightheartedness balance out, and this is all, again, in his own mind, right? So Norma, I think that you got it right on the head, where now Norma has a freedom. This isn't a secret that she has to keep to protect him. Now that it's all out in the open, she can just kind of show him how we do what we do.
Yeah,
you know, let me show you how we get it done here. You know, we got to do this, we got to do this.
Yeah.
We're gonna go hawk this car. This is what's gonna happen. Let's get this done. Like, no time for emotions here. So I did like that play, but it like, this episode could have been very dark and really, really hard to watch if she wasn't, you know, playing that comically.
There were little moments that it was almost like a buddy cop movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that first act was very.
Like
it was
total buddy cop.
It was like Midnight Run or something. Like the first act was like, you know, Lethal Weapon or Midnight Run. It was like, I'm getting too old for this shit. There's a lot of, like, you know, like in that last scene before, when they're you know, watching the bodies being drug out of the lake, and she's like, it's gonna be a long day. You know, it's
My
very.
favorite was, I wish I had a quarter.
Yeah,
To make a
exactly.
wish.
Make
That
a
was my
wish.
favorite.
I wish I had a quarter.
I didn't want to make a wish.
Yeah.
Norman's puking, and she's like, ugh.
Yeah, exactly. That was great stuff. Dude, she pukes. And she's like, it's going to be a long night.
Oh my god, let's make that show. Let's make that show.
It's really, I mean,
The 80s spinoff.
and none of that was over the top to me. All that was really funny and really spot on and played like perfectly for laughs, but also I believed it. Even the whole, you know, like I said, that opening scene where you have the psycho eye, and then, you know, Norma comes stomping in and, you know, I was cleaning this mess up. And
You're
it's
wasting
like,
water.
Yeah, you're wasting water. You're wasting water. Turn that shower off. You're wasting water. Get over here. Get this. It's like, what's going on? I never saw that in Psycho. Like, he just ran out, you know?
This was spattered in blood, just like on the wall.
And I love go over and change. I'll turn around. I won't look.
Yeah, exactly. That's all good stuff. So, yeah, so Sheriff Greene's hot on the case, man. She's pulling up the bodies. She's kind of new in town. She knows one of the bodies is what's his name?
Yeah. Sam.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Oh my
Black.
gosh.
Black Jeffman.
James Blackwell? Jack Blackman?
Jack Black.
Jack Black. Jack
Anyway,
Black.
she knows one of the guys. We're so well prepared, aren't we? Anyway, she knows it is the dude who tried to kill him. That Romero tried to kill him. Yeah.
I think it was Jim Blackwell.
I'll take it.
Ah, there it is.
Yeah.
Jim
There it is.
Blackwell.
There it is.
Yes.
We're close.
My cousin, Joe Braswell, is Jim Blackwell. Okay, anyway, so they go. She pays him a visit to sort of say, you know, don't worry, Norman. Like, everything's fine, but we don't know that. We don't know what's going on. And
I love her poker face.
Oh, it's so good.
because do we think she suspects Norman, or she's just sort of like, because she's kind of playing it like almost like.
Well, I don't know.
something's
Would
off.
you suspect Norman?
Well, yeah, he's very suspicious. But it's like, I don't have the evidence, but something's off here. So I'm just gonna ask questions and let's see if this kid hangs himself. That's kind of like the approach. Like,
Yeah.
oh really? I thought you said you had no guests. Oh, when was that, Norman? When did they come? Okay. Like, it was very, I don't know. It's very, I can't read her.
Well, I think that she said it flat out when she was like, well, I just wanted to come over and let you know that Jim Blackwell's not going to be bothering you. Like, that's why she came over. But then he was like, bodies? Dead bodies?
Yeah.
Like,
Dead bodies.
Yeah.
that's not like, and
That's
there's
weird.
no, like, if somebody's like, hey, you know that lake behind your house, we found bodies, you'd be like, oh my gosh, like, who was it?
Right.
What happened? Like, those are the questions that somebody that doesn't have anything to do with it asks. And he was like,
Yeah.
I was waiting for Mother to actually just take over and be like, this kid can't handle it.
Right. But he did.
Yeah.
And he told her, like, don't worry, Mother, I'll handle this. And he did handle it. So, you know, we think he handled it.
Well,
I think
Sort
he
of.
handles it in a way that he almost seems like this overly conservative person. Like, when you get back to the sexual thing, when, you know, there were two guests that came here for an hour, you know, I don't like that. I think that, so he can almost play off that I'm just this really sheltered young boy that's very innocent and just kind of socially awkward.
Don't really know the ways of the world.
Well, but it's also so weird how he does hide behind that super, like, well, they came in here and they were here for a few hours. It's almost like if you said, did they have sex, Norman? He'd be like, ah!
He can't say it.
No,
but he can watch it.
And he can do it. He can watch it and do it.
Can't talk about it.
Can't talk about it without killing somebody.
Dirty.
Without killing somebody.
Without the urge to kill. Poor
That is
Norman.
a crying shame.
Poor Norman. Anyway, so that happened. Then we they dispose of the body. They realize then that or Norman's like, look, people are pulling bodies out of the lake. People are sniffing around. We gotta do something with the body. This part that was interesting to me. There's a couple of moments here in this episode that very specifically didn't really match up to how we've seen Norman, in his psychosis when he is talking to Mother before. Mm-hmm. The first is when they talked about, moving the body, and Norma says, "What are we gonna do with her?" And it's such a weird moment. Like,
you're talking about the body of Norma.
Yeah. Like, Norma's like, it's me, but like, what are we gonna do with her?
Yeah.
He didn't say what are you gonna do with me.
Yeah,
and it's also a we, which makes it weird because there it's like, well, how am I moving myself, Norman? Nah.
I think that we established last episode that she's not, like, that's what busted everything wide open. If I could just backtrack for just a moment, just 1 second, because there was something really important that was said in the car by Norma, because through this whole moving of the body, Norman was very resistant. But when Norma said, there's a lot at stake here, and it will be if they find those bodies, they will either kill you or they will put you away. Either way, it's the end of us. And so that seemed to be the motivation to keep Norman going throughout the whole thing.
Right.
And that's what motivated him to be like, well, we need to get rid of his mother, the dead body of his mother. That's a huge thing. And it also, her reaction to it, her kind of like almost disrespectful dismissal of, oh, what do you want to do with that body? I think says to the audience, you know what? They're not she has no connection to this. This is just the evil part of Norman's mind that he has projected into the mother look. That's it.
Interesting.
There seems to me to be like a panic in Mother to stay relevant and to stay alive.
Correct.
So perfect point, like you just said. Either they kill you or they make you take your meds. Either way, I'm gone. We're dead.
Right.
And then also when they're walking and he sees the sheriff, she goes, "Do you want me to take over? I'm happy to do it."
Yeah.
Right.
It's like she is forced to take over, like she did with Dylan.
Yeah.
Mother feels forced to take over in order to stay alive and present.
She feels sort of Norman being, now that Norman's woke, if you will, for lack of a better term, like it knows that this is all what's happening. She feels the need to that Norman, the fear of Norman getting better and her going away forever.
Yeah.
And Norman feels that, and that's where we're the personification of Norman's internal struggle, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And also to your point about what she said in the car about either way, I'm gone. Either going to kill you or they're going to lock you, make you take your meds. That very much sounds like an internal monologue.
She says either way, it's the death of us.
Oh, it's the death of us. Yep. That sounds like something Norman's really like saying to himself, like, I got to do this. I don't want to take the meds. I don't want to be dead.
Yeah.
Like, it very much sounds like the kind of logic you tell yourself when you're trying to talk yourself into doing something stupid or not,
or hiding a body.
Yeah, or, you know that is Du'a. You know how we do it. Anyway, so but yeah, that's a great observation, Julia. I like the idea of Norma just clawing, like, can I take over now? Do I do this?
Yeah,
because
like, she is almost now overly exposed and almost vulnerable.
And to the point where
she has power now because now she's not playing the role of Mother or of Norma. Now she is her own entity that has a little carte blanche.
I'm the projection. Look, I'm here because you can't handle things. So like that's her role now. It's like, I'm here when you can't handle things. I show up. But even in the kitchen, and I'm skipping ahead a little bit, we'll come back to it, but even in the kitchen when when Norman's talking to Dylan, like, he's having a normal conversation, he looks over and Mother's there like, do I need to step in here? Are you gonna get this right?
Yeah. What's just chomping at the bit. I can do it. Are you overwhelmed? That's when I come into play.
Exactly. Are you gonna expose us? Are you gonna expose me? What's gonna happen?
And it affects Norman's behavior because he even whispered that line. I miss our mother.
Right.
Our mother, yes.
And that was such a big moment in that scene. But to talk about the moving of Norma's body, that was a beautiful scene.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
Just like the creepiest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, as far as wheelchairs far as wheelchairs and dead frozen bodies go, it was lovely. Sure. I mean,
Beauty is subjective.
that's Norman. Yes.
That outfit that he dressed her up in was pretty lavish.
Oh, yes.
Also wonder like how they, again, another mild throwback to Psycho, because Norman wheels Mother Norma around in that wheelchair.
Yeah.
So when I saw the wheelchair, I'm like, oh, is she going in the window? No, she'll melt in the window. So where's she going?
Yep.
And so they found they found a place where
That shallow grave.
Well, he didn't want to get her dirty. Because he's coming back for her.
Yeah.
He said, I will come back for you as soon as I can. He didn't want, that's disrespectful to actually bury his
dirt
mother.
on her face?
Can't do that. He just made a nice little bed for her.
So she stays
and then
cold.
covered her up, and then she'll have a little snow cover, so she'll stay nice and intact.
Right.
And then he'll just come get her later.
Yeah.
Like there are no witnesses in White Pine Bay.
It's off in the woods. It's way off in the woods.
It's
The
way
wheelchair.
far away.
clearing they found together one day.
animals,
How-
No.
Yeah, no animals.
Did they show him? I mean, they didn't show him in the car, which is like which would have been the Weekend at Bernie's moment when he's driving and Mother's like in the shotgun. Like, so I'm glad they didn't show that, because they're gonna put her in her trunk. Is she like? What does he put her?
I don't know. Well, she was in a wheel. No, I don't know.
I mean, she just props her up next to her and he's talking the whole time. Mother.
I'm
Well,
sure that
no,
they had a
because-
great conversation in the
Well,
car.
no, because he didn't invite Mother.
Oh,
He said, I
okay,
have to do this
somebody,
alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mother's not invited. This is a ceremonious event just for Norman alone and
Yeah.
his mother's body.
Which is one of my other times. That's my half of time where I felt sort of out of character, because he's doing this alone. He's consciously knowing that this is my dead mom. Mother is somewhere away or in my brain or back at the house.
But with him saying, "Don't worry, I'll come back for you, I promise." Like
Yeah.
that sort of showed to me that he didn't want this to end.
Right.
Because there were times when, like we were talking about with Dylan, which we'll get to, there were moments where like I felt like he was asking Dylan for help, or like crying out for help in his own way. Like, this is too much, But this, saying, I'll come back for you, I promise, and he's not getting her dirty, makes it seem to me that he wants to retain this life that he is being forced to lead.
He doesn't want to let her go, sure. But how convenient that he gets rid of Mother's body out of the house just in time for Dylan to roll out, so
yes.
he can't find her.
Yeah.
Like, that's not an accident.
Well, I liked it. And what he said, like, look, people are sleeping around, things that happen, we gotta...
Yeah, we got to get rid of stuff that...
I also like the other thing that, like, back to my point about new ways that Norman is sort of processing the Mother thing, is, I had to talk to you about this, when he's in bed and Mother comes and wakes him up, like, when I just got here, Juno's stuffed. Juno's like stuff right there. Juno's not running around barking. Hey boy, hey Juno, hey mom. So he's not completely delusional there.
Nope.
He's aware that, okay, well, I'm like, I'm confused on that. Is it like a halfway
It's
point?
not a fantasy anymore. It's
Right.
just
Yeah.
because now Mother, her presence is a reality.
Yeah,
Correct.
there's no like beautiful kitchen.
No, this
the
is
whole
just
thing.
the world that he
She's-
lives in now.
Yep, she's cracked into it. I think we touched on it a little bit last episode, where with him being aware, will he no longer black out, that she is
Right.
Yeah.
in his reality.
Well,
And so then he can kind of make that determination. He almost allowed her in.
That they can coexist.
we can talk about that
in the same
Well, I want to get back
place.
to that because when we get to the final kitchen sequence. But let's jump back to Romero. So Romero, we didn't see him at all last episode, but which he directed last episode, did he? Or the episode before
Either
last?
Two
that,
episodes ago?
I think 2 episodes ago.
Okay,
I think.
but we didn't see him last episode at all, and now we see he's better. He's staying out. I totally got lost as to who he's with. Can you explain it to me?
I did. So I asked, and I want to thank all of our listeners that respond when we ask questions. We absolutely love that. And it was because I didn't know either. That was, do you remember Sheriff Keith Summers, and the
Right.
one who raped Mother
Yes.
or Norma in
Right.
episode 1, season 1? That was his sister. So they're like old childhood friends.
Got it.
And they've been through a lot together. And so, yeah, she was definitely...
She used to live in that house, right?
I
Right?
think
Wasn't
so,
it
yeah.
his house first?
Yeah,
That's why
he was mad because it was his house.
his whole motivation.
That's right. Ooh, taking it back to season 1.
Yeah.
Wow, that's way back. Yeah, okay, so that makes sense. I did not put together, but he's there with Keith Summers' sister, in there, and
Who cares for him deeply?
yeah, she's giving some,
Wouldn't you? Look at him.
She's giving him some antibiotics.
Don't you get into some
That's right.
trouble. No gun for you,
There's a
mister.
little peeking in there while he was recovering.
Take it easy. Like, what's going on over here?
Little Florence Nightingale action.
What you packing?
Let me administer the antibiotics.
Got rid of one
Okay, all right.
He lost his
can
train
do
of
this all day.
thought.
I'm flooded with dirty
Yeah.
jokes, but I'll refrain. Anyway, so she sets him up, gets him some food and gets him the antibiotics, and he wakes up and he realizes I'm missing something. It's my gun, and I don't know. She's like, you don't need, you never had a gun. Because she's worried about him. It's not like she's fearing for her safety. She's worried about what he might do, correct? Is that, you guys read it?
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, he's going to kill me. It's more like, what's he going to go do? Let me stop
Well,
him.
anytime some guy shows up on my doorstep with a gunshot wound
Yeah.
and he's supposed to be in jail somewhere, I'm a little suspicious. I might take that guy's gun away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hide it in the cookie jar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Romero, he seems to be better. He's looking for his gun. She's talking him off the ledge, but I mean, I have no idea what's going to happen with this Romero thing.
Well, it's obvious that she knows him very well. And she even said, look, I know that you live your life by your own moral compass.
Yes.
And I know that, so she knows that he's on some type of revenge suicide mission, perhaps. And she just wants him to get better. She called that it was Norma right away. She knew that it was because she didn't commit suicide. She knows all of this, and I think that he's actually going to recover fully. She'll give him back his gun, and I'm going to save what's going to happen later for predictions. But I think that what all this does, all the gun situation does, is it delays. It delays. So this is just delaying the time that it takes for Romero to actually get to Norman.
Right. It was a couple of things there. That line, "You live by your own moral compass," is something that took us 3.5 seasons to figure out. Remember back in seasons 1 through 4, we were like, what's the deal with Romero? Like, what's his deal? Is he good? Is he
he
bad?
the boss?
Is he the boss? Is he with the mob? Is he this? He's taking money. And then finally we're like,
renegade.
at one point, we're like, he lives by his own moral compass. Like by the end of season 3, we get it now. And then she tells us, I'm like, where were you back then? For us in the first 3 seasons. Secondly, I just wrote in there, I know you live by your own moral compass. Like, there it is, right there. The other thing is, I really like there's something that reminded me of something very Western-y about this. Something very like Clint Eastwood Western, that whole exchange too. Like the gun and the this, he's holed up. Like he's like an old gunslinger going in for one last mission.
Yeah, I
and
can see
that whole Benson, it could have been written in Western. That whole like, you live by your own moral compass.
Yeah.
You can't go back into that town and administer justice on your own. You watch me.
Yeah.
I'm right about movie over here. Sorry.
I won't let you do
It's
it.
fun. I'm totally into it. You throw in a I'm your Huckleberry, and then I'm really sold.
But it seems that I like that. I feel like old Sheriff Romero coming back into town
I like
to
it too.
administer his own brand of justice.
Yeah.
I love
Tonight
it.
on Fox.
Tonight on NBC. Anyway, so we'll see how that goes. We'll go back to predictions. So Dylan shows up, at the doorstep, like here, and he's very, very sort of sympathetic to Norman's plight. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if Dylan was going to come in screaming at him or yelling at him. I know you killed her. Where is she? And kind of the Romero vibe, which you can't do because Romero's clearly going to do that. He went the other way, like, you're my brother, like, you're sick.
I think after he saw the condition of that kitchen, he was like, oh, no.
Yeah. And he said, like, you live here by yourself?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I got it. That's
Sees the
fine.
women's shoes.
Yeah.
Kicked off the pair of high heels, kicked off in the middle of the living room,
He's
and a
like-
pack of cigarettes.
Yeah.
Like,
Like,
that's great, by the way.
Something's fishy.
Another Dylan, what the F look like. Oh. The old Newports and the high heels, huh? All right.
Something's amiss.
Well, at least the kitchen's not the kitchen. Okay.
Okay.
I want to bring up one thing about the whole Dylan scenario. Actually, 2 things. The first thing I'm going to bring up is when Dylan is crying at the foot of his mother's bed, and he says, I'm so sorry.
Poor Dylan.
I'm sorry I wasn't there. What do you guys think that meant? Do you think that meant he wasn't there because he knows that Norman killed her?
I think he knows that the odds are that Norman killed her, and that he's sorry because he abandoned her. because he let it happen. He just said, you know what, you two deserve each other. I can't be a part of this. I want to make a new life. And he left. And he didn't call, he didn't write, he didn't check in, nothing. And now she's dead. And
shit went bad.
It went real bad, real fast.
And either way, like either whether or
Turn
not
us back.
like whether or not she, you know, he thinks like she had enough of whatever, Norman, whatever, and committed suicide. You know, this is why. Like, I wasn't there for you because you took your own life for some reason. Maybe I could have helped, or I wasn't there for you because clearly Norman killed you. I mean, it's still enough to make a poor young boy cry.
Yeah.
Plus,
sad.
his mommy's dead.
Yeah. And
Mommy's dad. Mommy's died.
And the other thing that I think is really interesting, both of the scenes with Norman and Dylan were in the kitchen. And I think that's really important to know, because if you go back a little bit for about 20 seconds here, back down memory lane to season 1 and I think season 2 or 3, the first time that Dylan witnesses a blackout by Norman, they were in the kitchen together and they got into a physical altercation.
Yeah.
And then Dylan was one of the first people to see Norman. Actually, I think it was either Dylan or Dunkel. Yeah, to see him in full-fledged Norma when she was wearing the robe.
Yeah.
And she was like, Norman's sleeping. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
That was also in the kitchen. So all of these kind of like revelations that Dylan has, and these like these things that are exposed to Dylan about Norman's mental well-being have happened in the kitchen. So the fact that these are both centered in the kitchen, I think, is really important and probably very intentional.
Yeah, I don't take it one step further. I mean, we've had these sort of really epic dinners, these last suppers. I mean, every season has had one big scene where it's like, you know, of course, we had the heartbreaking family dinner, and I think that was season 3. You know, we were all there where Caleb and Elka sat down and ate together. And
That was called the Last Supper,
we were all like, oh, yeah, it was. It's right. And they're playing the piano. And we're like, oh, this is all downhill from here.
Everyone's got to be happy.
It's all downhill from here. Yeah, but yeah, so the kitchen and then the dinner table, and that table, of course, plays a huge role in the entire thing. Also, sandwiches, a lot of sandwiches. You know, but yeah, I agree, and so yeah, Dylan's his compassion for his brother was also sort of heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Like, this is really bad. Like, we're gonna, and everything Norman says, it's almost like Dylan blacks out. Is like, yeah, you're crazy.
Yeah,
it's okay. We're gonna fix this thing, brother. And it's really interesting to see him sort of be like, his eyes, like he's such a, like, he's, again, Max Therodot. Max Pterodot, like the compassion in his eyes. He's so pterodot. It's so, like, he's just, the empathy in his eyes are just like, it's okay, brother. Like, you know, almost like tears in his eyes. And he goes down. I'm gonna sort this thing out. Let me go down to the doctor. Let me find. He asked him about good old Dr. Edwards. Like, you stopped seeing, what happened to Dr. Edwards? He goes, oh, you know, I stopped seeing him. I've been fine. And I saw him the other day, you know, in town. And
the happenstance.
It was all fine. He's like, okay, well, let me go check this out. And he goes to the pharmacist, and he tries to get the thing prescribed, and he mentions Dr. Edwards. And she's like, oh, Dr. Edwards, he's been missing for a goddamn year.
Dun, dun, dun.
What? Are you kidding me?
That was so good.
That was so
good. Like, they got me so good.
They got me so good. Because I've been screaming. I think I spent the first 5 or 6 episodes screaming, like, where is Dr. Edwards? Poor Norman. He needs you, buddy.
Yep.
And then he showed up, like, okay, there he was. Okay, that still wasn't enough. Like, how is he leaving him? Like, you know, this is because there's some moral code or something that allows him to, you know.
Something happened. Do you think he came by and Norman killed him and he's in the river?
Well, we're gonna have a flashback. I think we'll have a flashback.
Did he? I know we just watched it. Did Dylan tell Norman that he's missing?
No.
That he's presumed dead? Okay.
No.
Okay.
He didn't get that far. He didn't get that far because he only got to San Luis.
Just said I got the pharmacist to kick me a few pills.
Right.
Okay, got it.
And
just wanted to make
so
sure
he gets that, and he's like,
because that's gonna be a bombshell for Norma when he finds that out.
I think he probably wanted him to take a pill before he told him.
Yeah. Take one of these.
But he even said it to the farmer's like, well, that's strange because my brother said he just saw him. Well, that's impossible.
Yeah.
Because he's presumed dead.
So my brother really needs these pills.
Yeah. It's a lot of like. But
everywhere he turns, there's like somebody missing, someone dead. First, there's comedic. Norma is dead, then Dr. Edwards is missing, and then Madeline shows up, and Sam's gone.
Yeah.
And all roads lead back to Norman.
Yeah, it's really amazing. Like the look on his face, like missing, dead, Missing, dead. Okay, well, who's this young lady? Your husband's missing?
Yeah.
Good. did he know Norman? Has he visited here? Like, yeah, it's bad. So
I'm kind of sad that Emma isn't with Dylan, because this would be like the ultimate caper for both of them if they were together, and they would also be able to.
Emma would crack this case wide open in a second.
Yep.
Emma would solve this, and it'd be over. This would be the finale. If Emma was there, she'd have this thing solved in a second. But Dylan, so she goes back, and then we get her parents from Madeline Loomis, who's looking distraught, looking exactly like Norma.
Exactly.
But super distraught, and looking for her husband, Sam Loomis. Dylan asks the questions, what's your husband's name? Just in case. And he tells her Norman's not well. He's got mental
illness, but way to put Norman on blast. He's mentally ill. So any chance that Norman ever had of,
Yeah.
Well, probably did that for her own good.
Yeah. In
In case you don't know, my brother is batshit crazy and probably shouldn't be coming around here very often. Just so you know.
I almost had sex with this guy, I do. Anyway, so she leaves. He goes and confronts Norman. And ask a few simple questions.
Did Madeline have reason to believe that Sam was at the motel, or she just was looking desperately?
Well, the last time she saw Sam, he was following.
She locked him out of the door. She locked him out of the house.
But there was Marion had come and destroyed his car, and he walked out, and she locked him out. So then if he was to follow Marion, I would think that the hotel would be someplace that she would look.
But remember, Norman outed him. Norman was like, "Yo, your husband was at the hotel with some chick."
Yeah.
To just talk to him, console him. Did you see him? Do you know where he is? It's a small town.
Yeah. Okay.
So Dylan goes out to confront Norman and starts, very, very calmly asking some questions. Again, seemingly
your friend outside.
Seemingly normal questions,
Which could have so easily just been yes, they were he was with a woman that he's cheating on his wife with, and they left, and I never saw him again. So easy.
But because it's Norman, it sent him into a tailspin, and he was really, as we talked about earlier, Freddie Highmore with these great sort of body shifting, teary-eyed reactions to a simple question.
Not easy for him to lie to Dylan. It's not easy because he loves
high
him.
conflict.
Yeah.
The entire time.
He doesn't want to lie to him.
Yeah.
I think that was why he was so stumbly and all over the place, because it's inner turmoil of, look, this could be really, really simple is the mother side of it, but the Norman side is like, help me. Yeah. This is a real life person in his real life.
Yeah.
And also super tender scene as you see. God, I feel so bad for Norman, but as you see, Norman really struggling with this, and then he says that thing, stop confusing me, and then Dylan sort of gets up,
meddling with the truth.
Yeah, he gets up and just sort of sits by him. It was really, really
that was so sweet.
So sweet. Like we're gonna do this. I got these pills, and you're gonna take one in front of me, and we'll start from there.
Yeah.
Also, his line of "leave and let me live the way I need to live."
Yeah.
I was like,
I just said it with tears in his eyes.
Heartbreaking, because he doesn't know how, and he'd said in the scene earlier, and he goes, every day here is a small century.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is, and it's hard for him to live the way he he's such a tortured
soul. He also told him living anywhere else any other way is not an option. He's talked before about sort of being trapped and not having a choice in his life and in his state of loneliness, and this is the only way he can survive.
Right. It's amazing. I've said it 1,000 times. It's amazing what Kerry Ehrin and Carlton have done. Making these folks such sympathetic characters.
Yeah.
We really care about Norma. We care about Norman, homicidal maniac. We care about Dunkel, the incestuous rapist. We care, we care about all these people, and so.
Sure do.
But anyway, so he goes where he tells him that he goes to take the pill, which was, felt like an hour between the time he got the pill and he's going to take it and
walks to the
sink. And then I'm like, come on, is he taking this pill or not?
Yeah.
So he gets there, and Mother shows up. And I love the way they just let that play out in real time for the audience. Not without camera tricks or Norma or Formiga showing up. It's just Norman and just Freddie Highmore, like, Mother, I don't need you.
Stay out of this, Mother.
I think that was a really important choice, because you needed to see that whole interaction from the vantage point of Dylan.
Yes.
You needed to see it the way that Dylan was seeing it.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's why they made that choice, because it did kind of look ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that's what Dylan's seeing. He's seeing his brother be his mother.
Right.
And of course, again, Dylan had these great reaction shots.
Yeah,
that's
coming
all
over.
episode.
And then the whole thing, like, I can only love one son or whatever. What did she say?
Yeah.
What was the
I
line?
can only be a mother to one person.
Yeah, and at that moment, I'm like,
And it ain't you, kid.
Yeah,
That's basically what it was.
that was.
You didn't make the cut.
Did you think Dylan was gonna go down when you were watching it in real time? Did you think Dylan was gonna die?
I thought I was yes. I thought that it was
yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is happening. And then when it was like mother no, and I saw the struggle, my first thought was how is Dylan seeing this? And I think that the way they cut that was brilliant because they watched, and of course I know a thing or two about a head injury, and to get whacked over the head really, really hard, you're not really all there mentally, and you're like, so for him to actually be seeing his brother have a fight with his other personality in front of him, like full-fledged fight, like
physical fight.
yeah, over whether or not, like, do you think he understood that this was whether or not he was gonna die?
Yeah. I think so, and I also think, like, as he's, there's also a bit of sort of surrealness of it because he's knocked out, he's kind of coming to, and he sees, like, what probably is Norman holding his own hand away from killing, his brother, and then, then throwing himself under the table, and struggling with himself. It was really, that's something to watch. If you're, like, sort of, like, mildly concussed and coming out of that, it's like, what the hell? All of that was just, really, really intense. And, but thank God Norman won. And I think this has a lot to do with what we've been seeing these last 2.5 episodes is the slow progression of Norman sort of, winning over Norma. Like Norman's, winning. And Norman's personality is coming out. I mean, Norman did kill Sam Loomis. He's definitely woke for that. And as she talked about, like Mother Norma is trying to stay relevant the whole episode, and to the point where it actually ended in a fight, a physical fight, where she throws him off, and Norman jumps on the phone and confesses, makes the call, or does he?
No, we heard it.
We heard it.
We heard it. But what's interesting now is that
like him, like it's his now that, mother's holding down the like he's like 911.
Sweet rotary phone. I love the rotary phone PS mounted to the wall.
But what does that do? Like, that poses all these new questions. Like, what does that do for, like, Romero's vengeance? Now, like, is Norman going to go into a mental institution? Are they going to find all these bodies?
I mean,
what's going to happen? Like,
we have 3 full episodes left, so this isn't just more now. At this point, I mean, is Dylan gonna, like, it's my brother, I gotta protect you? Like, what happened? Romero still gotta show up. Dylan still gotta find out about Caleb.
Chick, I totally thought that was gonna happen this season.
Roll up on the spot. In fact, let's just jump to predictions right now.
Okay. If Chick's real.
Chick's real. He's writing a book. Predictions, maybe? It's all right. Who needs to drop?
Yeah.
Let's go to so Du'a. What's gonna happen?
The light switch.
So this is what I think. I think because of Sheriff Romero's moral compass, this might be a little bit outlandish, but I think that Norman is actually going to go into some type of, he's not going to be accessible to Romero anymore. There's going to be some type of mix-up, and I think that Romero is actually going to accidentally kill Dylan.
Oh, you're really going there.
In the house. He's going to see something in the house. He's going to go to shoot, but it's actually going to be Dylan, not him.
Wow, that's
that's going to suck.
Yeah. And then maybe I was thinking maybe he would kill himself, or maybe there'd be a shootout and they'd kill each other. Like, something is going to happen, because I think that another level, so Norman has now gotten to this, like, plateau where he understands stuff. So he needs another really sharp emotional kick in the head to throw him way over the edge.
Wow.
So I think that maybe the loss of Dylan, his only other family member.
Okay. That sort of ties into what I'm thinking.
All right. What do you got?
Okay, so originally I thought when I was watching this episode that when Norman found out that there was a baby, that grandmother's instincts were going to pop in and she would want to be a grandmother. But instead, since I saw her now try to kill Dylan, I think Emma's going to show up with baby Katie, and that's going to be the catalyst for Norman to win over the mother, to beat Mother out in a probably really imperative moment. And because in the end, this show is about family, and I think that he's not going to want to expose Katie, the little baby, the little innocent, to all this.
In the end, we know how Psycho ends. In the end of Psycho, but it's all Mother. You know, and do we think
That mother's going to take over completely.
Who's gonna win?
Who's gonna win? Because they're both getting very strong. Norman is getting strong. Mother is getting strong.
Who's gonna win? Norman or Mother?
But they've also been really they've said time and time again that this show is simply inspiration, and a lot of the big, huge, iconic things that we thought were gonna happen aren't. And things I'm sure so I never want to think that I know what's happening because I don't.
I mean, Dr. Edwards is missing.
Oh God.
I'm sure that he's in the river.
I mean, the second they identify him out of the river, then it instantly ties him to Norman. Then the dots start to get connected.
Yeah.
I mean, unless he was over the cliff.
There's a lot of people in that river. Who knows who's in that river?
Yeah.
I'm sure that Emma's mother's in the river.
Yeah, because Emma's still got. Yeah, Emma's got. There's got to be a scene where Emma realizes her mother's dead and Norman killed her.
Yeah.
There's got to be a scene where they realize that Caleb's dead and Norman killed him. So
Chick actually killed him.
That's true. That's very true.
But still.
Like both Emma and Dylan have their parents, you know, dead somewhere around the vicinity of Norman Bates. That's not good. Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm really interested to see how Romero gets into town. What happens when Romero comes to town and how he exacts his brand of Romero justice. I've got no prediction.
I'm really excited to see that.
Oh, I'm excited, and then I'm just so sad because I don't want it to be over.
I know, but I also don't want to be. I just want. I don't know what kind of resolution I'm looking for. I want to be like this. I was satisfied by this show, but I also feel like I'm gonna be really sad. I feel like no matter what happens, I'm gonna be sad.
Well, I mean, everybody has to be dead, and like Norman ends up in a mental institution as Mother, right? Everybody's dead, and Norman's in a mental institution as Mother.
Maybe.
Like I would think if they were gonna go based on the movie, that's what ends up happening.
No, I mean Sam Loomis. I mean some of those people survived.
Yeah.
They put him away, so you know it's flipped. It's funny. Sam Loomis died. Marion Crane lived here, whereas the other one, Marion Crane, died. Sam Loomis lived. Anyway, that's all we got. We got to get out of here. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for listening to us on iTunes and YouTube. Thanks for all you guys who watch us on YouTube. And
there it is.
There it is. And if you like this show, you can rate us on iTunes. Help people find us for these last 3 episodes. We're going to try to get some guests in here for these last 3.
Some really good guests.
Yeah, we're working on it. We're working on a really big guest, so we'll see what we can do. That's all we got. Julia, where can the kids find you?
You can find me at Du'a Kaissi, at DuAKaissi on the Twitters, at Du'a Kaissi. That's all.
I don't know what happened there. Don't know what was happening. Julia, where can they find you?
I know, I'm scared just to spell my own name. You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram with my name, Julia Cearley, fingers crossed, Juliacearley.
Yes, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter. I'm Joe Braswell, at Joe K. Braswell, Braswell, Joe K. Braswell, Instagram and Twitter. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
And on Snapchat too, right?
Yeah, JK Braz or J Braz.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be naked. Bye.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.